Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to touch on protocols. I don't know how to. I'm very pleased to be here. My brother Mevon has severally sent me the link of what you guys are doing, and I became very interested. The simple truth is there's no better way to learn than learning from people that have experienced certain things. So I asked him, what are we talking about? And he just says, it's just your life story, basically. And I actually told him that I'm in, you know, anything I can do to help anybody. You know, it might not touch everybody. Everybody might not learn from it, but one person will certainly get something from it. And that one person is the person that is making me sit down here. He has said, my name is Barrister Oyanbo Peace Owei. I'm actually currently working with the Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. I always make that mistake because the Minister of Petroleum is the President. The Minister of State is Chief Timi Priscilla. I'm actually a technical assistant to himself. I'm also a governing council member of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. Most people just know it as local content. I'm the first female governing council member. I'm the baby of the house also. I also founded the She for She initiative, which is a non-government organization that caters for the girl child and women. That's pretty much about my career life. I love politics. I love being part of politics. I love sitting and discussing politics. I'm also always in the political setting and circle, so I participate very well in such activities. Not fully, but I'm always around politics because it's just the way you can actually effect change, in my opinion. Sorry about that. I might be coughing from time to time. I just have that cough, but it will be coming from time to time. Other than that, I'm a wife. I have 3 kids. I'm very involved in my family life. Very involved. It actually shocks me how I'm able to juggle between where it's very significant for me and where there was a big shift and a big change in my life was in 1994 when my dad died. That actually breaks people, and that's the breaking point for people, because you can either choose to go this way and have a legitimate excuse that, you know, such a huge thing has happened to you, especially for people like us that rely on our father, not, you know, mother and father, on our father. So I had the excuse to either go this way or that way, you know. And sorry, thank God my sister is here. She was a great pillar, great support. When you have older ones that, you know, you look up to and you see them going this way, so that makes you to quickly take a decision for yourself. And it was 1994. I was just in JS1, and we battled through school and to SS3. But there's something that's always that always comes back, you know, whenever, like if you fail a course, for instance. Again, like I said, you have you have a legitimate reason. You will just say, yeah, I was thinking about my dad's death, something that must have happened like a few years ago, and you always have to go back to draw that you know, you're just impacting on you now, and that's why this happened, and that's why I said that's a very significant time in my life, that 1994, where I had to take that decision for myself. Finished school, went to university in Port Harcourt. That's also a very different space where for the very first time you're alone. You can choose to live a different life in your university environment and come home and pretend, you know, and live a different life. But it takes only a very strong-willed person to be able to look at your peers and, you know, choose the path for yourself. Even when there will be, you have your peers laughing at you or making jokes at you, but you're taking a particular. So one thing for sure for me was that I already knew, you know, like I was already seeing myself where I want to be. So whenever the distraction comes, because it will come, I just look at the picture. It's a picture. It comes like very visible. What's the picture? The picture is that you want to lead people. And how do you lead people? You lead people by living a certain type of way. Not pretending, but you just have to live the right way to be able to lead others. And whenever that comes to mind, I just see that picture, you know, and it gives you hope, you know, because there's a lot of stumbling blocks and a lot of challenges that you face, especially if you're a woman. You know, I don't know, and I don't want to take it for granted what the men will be facing if they were in my shoes, but I can tell you for sure that it wasn't also very easy for women. You know, you have all sorts of people with offers, promises, easy way out of things, especially when you have to pay your school fees yourself, especially when you have to juggle that with studying and probably do some small business in the university, as well as ensuring that you make good grades so that you can move to the next level. So it was just a whole lot of things muddled up, and somehow, you know, I keyed into, I have a friend of mine, my big friend, Mr. Eugene Abels. He always used to tell me that, please, whatever you're doing, I know how hard it might be, but just remember that we should prove everybody wrong. So even through law school, it was difficult for someone like myself that had to look for my law school fees. I will never forget, it was the most difficult 250,000 naira anybody can think about in Nigeria and on earth, really, because it was the most important thing for me then, but it was so difficult to gather the 250,000 within the short period, otherwise you lose your admissions. But I was able to go through all that. And don't get it wrong, and don't get me wrong, you make mistakes, it happens. It's just how to quickly, you know, pick up and then move and correct itself, because there's so many mistakes that you'll be making as you're going, and then you just have to correct yourself and then move on, and don't beat yourself. And I try not to look back. I just remember a lot. If you look back, you don't insult. So I just don't look back. I've made a mistake, and I'm moving on. How do I correct it quickly and then start moving on? So finished law school, went to, I was working for my uncle. He was into medical evacuation. And again, something that is very important is that for wherever you find yourself today, because you might not have that opportunity again to be in that particular situation at that particular time, and just everything at that time, just make the best use of that time to learn, because you might not have the time to learn. When I was that same thing again, when I was doing the medical evacuation, I thought that was the place I was going to go. That's the direction I was going to go through. I'll be doing medical evacuations. Nobody in Nigeria really knew how to go abroad for treatment, so we were on top of everything. I was running around trying to get them visas, getting hospitals to see the patients, and to book appointments to send people abroad. It was a big deal. So that part, that service was thriving because we were doing it at the time. But I was just learning, not just learning the medical evacuation job, but administration and different things, again, which is helping me to today. How to run small businesses, how to run my NGO, how to run anything. You know, that's the first formal place I was working. Even though it was my uncle's outfit, I tried to be professional about it and learn. You know, so we were 3 of us running that outfit, and you know, I picked a whole lot of things from there. After that, I went to the University of Buckingham to do my master's in international and commercial law. Again, if that particular Buckingham 9 months crash program for masters, it was another different toll in my life when I had to live by myself in the UK and also study in the UK and meet different people from different parts of the world, which I still keep in touch with about 2 of them very strongly, you know, because again, you know, I know that I have a home somewhere in the Bahamas now because I have a friend there, you know. So what am I trying to say? I'm just trying to say every step of your life, you might not be able to pick so many things, but, you know, just hold on to one thing. That experience, all that experience and all that learning I was doing, I didn't even know where I was going to again. I just knew that this is my vision, but I did not know how, you know, to get to that particular place I'm heading to. So after that, I came back to Nigeria, and I was just thinking, what do I do? I studied photography. I said it would be good to be a very, you know, high-end photographer and all that, and maybe be taking pictures of the president and going to the National Assembly and taking pictures. So I went to the London School of Photography. Then I now said to also be very good, you know, to know how to make up people for a set, you know. So if you're doing photography, you should have an idea of how to make people up. So I also went to the London School of Beauty and Makeup, so that, you know, coming back from London, master's program, London photography, London beauty, and all that, I said, when I come, I'm just going to open this type of studio, you know, I'm just picturing glass all over the place and all that. As I came, I went to Bayelsa State. I said, let me see my state. The governor then is somebody, a family friend that I know, who happens to still be my boss. I said, let me go and see, maybe like all that, if I see Uncle Timipi, I'll be able to tell him, you know, I'm done with my master's, and I want to open a studio. You know, to me, that was it. I even came back from London with a big camera, very big camera, that I move around with. So I was very happy to tell him, you know, why I want photography. You know, I was even reciting it, you know, why I would like to set up a studio, and, you know, and I brought all my certificates, master's in law degree, yeah, everything. UST, you know, you have a BL law, you have LLB law, you have LLM law, and then London School of Beauty and Makeup, photography, you know, so the mix. But I said, don't worry, by the time when I finish, everybody in Nigeria will be calling me to take them pictures. So I went to meet him. But you know, then being the governor, how busy they are, you wait in the waiting room, you wait and wait endlessly. And I saw somebody that I met there. I met him in London, and he said he was a Bayelsa, and we exchanged contact. So I saw him there. I was very happy, you know. I said, I'm back. He said, what are you doing? I said, with my camera, obviously, because I was holding my camera. Like, that's the alternative instead of a bag. I said, what is it? It's good. And I now told him that, you know, I'm back from England, and, you know, I want to see my uncle, and I want to tell him that I'm back, and I want to start this. He said, okay, fine. But I have a program. I actually work for the government. I have a program I'm running. I'm doing a stakeholders meeting. I run the e-governance department of the state. And while you're waiting for him, if you have a few days, you can join us at the office, and let's see how, you know, you can be part of it. I said, okay. At least I'll wait for him 3 hours and I'll run, you know. So it was good. I joined them, and that was when I was just really seeing the government office and the mode of operations. I joined them, I was part of it. I was very vibrant, it was exciting. You know, stakeholders meeting, you have to do with calling all the traditional rulers and all the stakeholders in Bayelsa. So we did that program. And then after the program, he said, please, I will like to recommend you to the governor for you to work with the government as the senior special assistant on new media, because, and again, it's very important, because after the program, I looked through your social media page and I saw a trend of how you command and control discussions. And I promise you, everything I was doing on Facebook, then it was Facebook, there was no Instagram, and it was for fun. I was just enjoying dragging, I was just one transparency, sole activist on my own. If I'm passing on the road, I see a bad road, I'll take picture of it, I'll put this thing. In fact, I almost put the nautical miles. I'll stay there, I'll go back, have conversation, interview everybody around there, and put it on my social media page. And sometimes I will even forget that I've kept such something like that on my page. And you see discussions. I was one of the very first people that had about 5,000 followers at that time when it started. I would just see discussions all over, and I will even forget the discussion. I moved to another one. People would debate and argue, and they start talking about politics, how it's better to remove the government or bring back another one, So it was, I didn't even know. It was when he said it that you control and command a lot of conversations on your Facebook page. And then you can use, and he was even talking, and I was just nodding my head, but he doesn't know that I don't understand what he was saying. He said you can use this to help the government with accountability, transparency, because even then he also saw the governor of Rivers State then even replying and explaining it up and down on my page. So I went back to look at it that night. I said, first of all, my laptop is all these ones you have to heat and reheat, for it to. And I said, what is this conversation? He said, and really I noticed that if I throw a topic in, I'll have a whole, maybe at that time, we have 500 people talking about it. And I would have left it and I've put something, and people are still discussing. So I said, oh, he's even right. And the next day, he wrote to the governor, recommending me to be the senior special assistant on new media to the government. I was worried. I had to go and be Googling, what is senior special assistant? What is even new media? I had to Google it, not knowing that it's just a simple, new form of media, period, like the digital media then, because we were just used to the traditional media. So I didn't know how to tell him that I cannot handle such a position, but I just said, yes, no problem, thank you. And the next thing, the governor told him, I've known her since she was young, and yes, she's always been like that. Me, I've always been like that. So he quickly minuted it and sent it to the SGF's office. They're calling me, they're asking for documentation and everything. It was like a dream, And the next thing, they're giving you ID cards, they're giving you letter of appointment, salary, salary for yourself, your staff, your domestic staff. It was just happening like that. So I was calling my family to say, I think I'm working for the government or governor, I don't know, one of them, but there's a vacancy at the Amnesty office to set up the social media department, the new media department. Why don't you come and just do exactly what you were doing in Bayelsa? Somebody's watching. Imagine somebody I didn't know from mother. And, at the time, being someone, has worked for, there was this political crisis between the big men and all that, so I tried to stay out of it. So you will not be expecting that the other side is calling, someone that has worked here to work there and all that kind of complications. I was so shocked. I said, I will take it, but I would have liked to go to the school for 1 year and back. He said, no time. We're about to set it now. You just tell us your terms and everything. We'll pay you what you are being paid in Bayelsa. And that's how I got another job, even with my admission, tuition paid, everything, I still got a job. I stayed there, I worked with them for another maybe 3 years or 4 years. And given a different task, I started with the new media department, and he said, I think you do better in another department, which is the education department. So I was in charge of the offshore scholarship program for the Amnesty Office. And it was a different task because it was a program that was not stable. They were trying to stabilize the Niger Delta region, as well as even set up a structure for the program. So I had to come up with ideas. I was consulting. I was pushing myself and all that. So when you see someone in a space, and it's easy to look at the person and just say, I wish I was this person. But it was a difficult time in my life because I would barely sleep, and that's what affected my sleep to today. So I still have insomnia, where I would just stay awake to read and understand how best one can run a scholarship scheme, and then how effective, and the end time game plan and everything. I was struggling and consulting people to try to make sure it wasn't just a scholarship scheme, it's why the scholarship, why the course, why the country they're going to, why, you know. So it was a whole lot of things that we did. So it wasn't just picking someone to throw the person abroad. It's why are you doing it, and what's going to be the effects in a long time, and why was the program set up in the very first instance. And I don't think, you know, of course it comes with its own challenges and all that, but I don't think I would have performed very badly, because I would have had that relationship with my former boss till today if I did that badly. And of course, he was also getting testimonials from my other boss, you know, this thing. So I finished with the amnesty program. The change of government came with a change of personnel. So, and I was married, started having kids, took a break, you know, walking between, but I have 3 kids. I got married, and I remember when I was in school in England, there's ladies and all that, so I decided to go and try it out to see how it is, and how the government really works for sure. And I did that for some time, and all that, but here am I. I work for the minister on issues relating to Niger Delta, and any other subject matter which he pleases to give to me. And I also am a member of the Governing Council Board for the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring. And we're saddled with this huge task to try to domesticate. There's a notion that when you have an NGO, it's just about how you can use it as a conduit for money siphoning and laundering and all that. And I want to make sure that, as always, I want to make sure that what I do is different and its effects change. So we've been self-funded and getting a lot of funds from individuals and corporate organizations. And then we've been able to touch the women and the girl child, and even now youths, because the guys refuse. So when we throw out the program, you won't believe that we get more guys register for our programs than the women. You know, we're trying to say, you know, we have this demographic we're focusing on, but what do you do? So we've been able to, we're into education and health. And for the education, we try to do a lot of personal development trainings, partnering with my brother here. He's, whenever there's a training, he's all set and good to be able to assist us to carry out those trainings, because through this journey I've just explained to you now, I have had huge challenges, and then those gaps we have in the society and in Nigeria, I try to make sure that I'll do anything to be able to close those gaps. A lot of people are in business, but they think they're in business, but they're actually not in business, and that's what makes their business die on time. So the poverty we are discussing today, if everybody is able to do some small thing or the other, you know, it won't be this bad. So I try to organize those personal development trainings, For health, we do health interventions and outreaches where we'll be able to go into certain rural areas and places where they have those needs, and to be able to intervene where they need us to intervene. Currently, we're trying to discuss with NCDC to see how we can come in to do a whole lot of sensitization on the monkeypox outbreak that we have and any other pressing medical situation that the country has. So we're doing a whole lot of things, and we're trying to see how we can partner with government organizations and international organizations to be able. You know, at the end of the day, everybody. I mean, this party. It's a matter of interest. You know, it's personal interest first. You know, before the interest of the society, before the interest of the country. Personal interests, you know, so that's why I hear one person is defecting, one person is living here, going here. Maybe something is not going well with the person, and they write a long story, we are leaving because, you know, they are doing things that is not good for the society. But you find out that these things they've not done well to the person's satisfaction, that's making the person leave. So once you just understand that it's a person's interest, you know, I try, for instance, I use my office space for example. So I have 8 a.m. to maybe 4, 5, 6 p.m. in the office. And I go home, and those people are, you know, I only see them the next day. What can really make you have issues with those people? Yeah, they're bound to be, you know, encounters, but those encounters should really just be encounters and end there. Really. So I try to make everything very light, nothing too deep. You know, if something for disunity is a whole lot more than what you need to put in to be united and bring about results. So it's difficult for people to understand it, but I try not to be involved in the pettiness of anything, you know, and I try not to give people the chance to get me involved in pettiness. It's very difficult, especially for women. Yeah, but I try not to I try to avoid pettiness and just be like that.
Any other question?
I'm still expecting her to ask.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My question is not related to your life, but from the office you work.
Okay.
You worked before, the Amnesty office.
Yeah.
So I want to know what is the benefit of the Amnesty program to the youth of the Niger Delta?
May I answer that question?
Yeah, so
I don't have to answer it because I know people, including my younger brother, and everybody
out by something, which was people that were aggrieved and said, we've been talking and no one is listening. So the only way we can, you know, get their attention is to carry arms. So maybe they're not actually that way, but they just needed to get the attention of the government. And you know, when you start something like that, before you know it's out of your hands. So people begin to leverage on that agitation platform to perpetrate other forms of evil. So that's the idea behind the program, and it became so big, even bigger than the people that conceived the idea, and it was disrupting the oil and gas activities, which is the bedrock of Nigeria's economy. So the federal government had to wade in to see how they can calm the situation in the Niger Delta region, and they set up the amnesty program, granted presidential pardon, which is the amnesty, to those that have carried arms. Because once you carry arms like that, it's a crime against the state, it's a crime against the nation. So you're supposed to be punished for it. But sitting down at the stakeholders level and at the high level to see where it's coming from, they granted those people that were documented the amnesty at the time. So those that were documented needed to be demobilized and reintegrated. So they disarmed them first. That's taking the arms, they demobilize them, and then they reintegrate them and bring them back to the society so that they forget the militancy era. So that was the whole idea of the amnesty program at the time. So it's supposed to be a program to reintegrate those people that were documented and those people that were disarmed. So the reintegration was of many parts. If you want, during the documentation, some people said they have this level of education and they wanted to further it. Some said they don't have any level of education, or they have, but they want to do skills training. Some said they just want to do business. No, I've already been doing mechanic work. I just need empowerment materials to be able to continue my work. So we had different levels. Some wanted to do pilot training and all that. So we had those documented people. I interacted with them on a daily, Some of them told me how it started, how they were talked into it, where they are now, their regrets in life. Some went about forgetting the purpose for which they were carrying the arms and got into drugs. Some didn't even get into drugs, but they carried the arms. Carrying arms is a big deal. Shooting a gun is a big deal. Some of them can never sleep because they hear the sounds of the guns. Some of them never carried arms at all, but they were in the place, in the society where those things were going on. So we had people at different levels with different aspects of their participation, in it. So what the federal government did was to try to see how they can bring these people back into the society. So the program, and that's why he said, a lot of people in your house. No, I met them on the program. And, talking to them, counseling them, some became like family, where they don't have where to go to. So I just had to buy this. It was 5,000 then, small mattresses. My parlor removed all the chairs. And I had people just sleeping in my house like that because after school, some of them don't want to go back into an environment where they've carried guns before. Some of them did not carry guns, but they still think that people that carry guns are in their villages, so they don't want to go back. So for so many reasons, people, and I had a well number of people that were with me and went left. Yeah, so it has actually, we have documented people that have been reintegrated, trained, reintegrated, they've moved back, they have success stories. I'm sure the amnesty program itself, because I'm no longer there, so I can't speak for them, but they have done quite well, I think, in bringing stability to the region.
Thank you, ma'am. The reason why I asked this question is that when I traveled, the first time I traveled to Bayelsa, it was evening. The guy that came to pick me, I saw people. I saw beer parlor, let's say like the whole of this building. I asked him, what's happening? Is it an occasion or what? He said that the month has ended, they are paid militant. So everybody is just scattering bottle. So that is why I asked the person whether the program is really a success or not. Secondly, the company I work with, we handle, then I think, I can't remember the year, we handled a contract to take 96 militants to Philippines for underwater welding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did the training for 6 months. After the training, laptops were shared to all of them. Some of them immediately, they collected their laptop, they sold it there. So to me, I just see it as some of them are just using the program just to cash out. But really, even for the training, some of them, after the training, they dumped all the skills they have acquired.
So even in your home, if you have yourself and your siblings, you can see that people have different attitudes in the house. In your own home, your children, you see that there's one that likes, there's one quiet one, I have a talkative one, and I have one, and they're even twins. So you don't expect everybody to behave in the same manner. Mind you, there's a background for the particular people that were documented on the program. So I don't know which category. I also told you that there are people that never carried arms, but they were also part of it, and those were the impacted community ones. And for sure, I know that the idea behind laptops then was that, and I think till now, is the world has gone very digital. So if you're doing underwater welding, there's some aspects of it that you probably will be doing online. There's some aspects of even carpentry. There's some designs now you do online. All architects, they do the 3D designs online and all that. So it was important that every training had that aspect of digital, those digital trainings, and then they give them the laptops. A few people might actually sell their laptops. People might have problems that they will need to solve with the monies that they will use for the laptops, while you have some that will just be truant in nature and will be rebellious and all that. But the truth is that when they come back, we expect them to have meaningful jobs, and the program then had an exit period. So if you're enjoying your monies for now, it's fine, because there's an exit period, so you still exit the program. It's not something that will be there forever. So someday, there's no date, but there will be an exit point for them. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other question before we round up?
Yes, I have a question. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
I think you permit me that if she doesn't ask, I'll ask her.
I'm saying that I'm so lucky to be part of today's program.
Would you like to know your name, please?
Okay, my name is Obasitin as a Juliet.
Thank you.
I'm from Anambra State. I'm
Okay.
a student leader at the University of Calabar.
Okay.
I'm SCG Vice President.
Wow.
And I'm so lucky that I'm so lucky to be here to listen to your story and your journey to the political life. And personally, I would say that I'm taking on some values and lessons from your story. And that's why I'm going to ask you this question, and I hope that I'll get help and also advice. Okay, being a student leader, it's not really that easy. You've been through all those, and then you really know that most times, like you said, as a young person who is a leader, that we should be careful so that we don't mess up women in the office, so that others can have the opportunity to be there. And then maybe there are a lot of things I want to do for the students. And most times we find ourselves the management that the school doesn't really provide, which is funds, because normally what we do in school is mostly on funds. Students need help. You have to get this done, and don't just what you do just like that. And then most times we tend to go outside to look for student-friendly brands in the way to partner with us to go to school and also help us. And then most times it doesn't really work out. And then we have piled up events we want to do for them, but yet it is no fund. So I don't know how else we could do that so we can lay a legacy before we leave the government, especially now that we're having an ASU strike. Nothing is happening for the students. School is not doing anything yet, and students are all at home. And then secondly, the political aspect. I get these feelings and thoughts from people that can you do what is inside, you won't get married, or your children is that, and then it scares me to know that they do say that meeting starts maybe midnight, you have to go out midnight, and you don't have time and all that. So, and you said you really were able to manage all. So I have hope from there that actually, if I put my mind, and I actually want to achieve being a mother, a wife, and also handle the political life. So I would like to get the advice on how we can be able to push through to succeed in office. And secondly, how to more light in managing the political life and being a mother and wife. Thank you so much.
Okay. So when you said you were the vice president of the student, I was laughing because I just say yes, they're politicians. That's where you start politics. Most times when politicians talk about themselves, they start from student union leadership. And I was not a student union leader. I was just involved in all their elections, When this one wants to become, he will come and give me one small, and I don't know, they don't spend money on doing flyers. It has to be one small card. I want to be this, I want to be that. So it was fun. But especially students and any human being, they're insatiable. So you have to do your best. If it has to do with funds, getting funds, you have already said it, you try to go and get partnership with the brands. And people need students for so many things. There's an free online learning platform that we launched for my NGO. And the first place that came to mind for us to be able to have to register people is the students, especially university students. So a lot of people need students. It's just how to be creative. You really have to be creative to be able to get what people need from students and key into that. Is it politicians? They need students for their politics. Within the school, the student hierarchy, the management of the school, they need students. Church needs students. The mosque needs students. Everybody needs students. That's the truth, you know. So NGOs, they need students. Sensitization, where will you really get a crowd of people together? Students. Fortunately, school is on strike now. There's nothing much you can do other than using this period of quietness for yourself to really think of one big project, one small or big project that you can do and how to strategize to get partnership. It involves a whole lot of writings, presentations. You have to look for what the people want. If it's an organization, for instance, now Sinoki, what does Sinoki do? You have to go and check out what they do, what they need. You only have to give them what they need. You know, they need you, but you have to give them something. So you have to check out what they need. It's quite difficult, but I always consult Mavon for things like that. Not to plenty things, just one or two that you know you succeed in, and that's your name, and that's where what you're leaving back for them. That when they remember this thing, they remember you. So what does the school need? You need a digital library, I'm just saying, digital library. Okay, Google is coming to Nigeria, Amazon is coming to Nigeria. Well, how can students be part of this? Because I've been saying Amazon is coming to Nigeria, Amazon is announcing their staffing. How have you, keyed in? Just the first thing you think, what will students do for Amazon? Amazon, I love them because they are not thinking about collecting 10 billion from anybody. They'll just think of 2 naira from each person. So if you give someone 2 naira, will you feel it as anything? You will not feel it that you've given anybody money. But to them, it's the big picture. Then you have to be thinking very fast to what will Amazon need as students. Do they set up a small kiosk in their school? If I imagine me bringing Amazon fiscal office to my school. What school? In Anambra. What school? Unical. So what if I bring a kiosk of Amazon to my school, and they're just selling only not plenty things. When I was in law school, I looked at it, I said, God, how will I survive after raising this 250 and all that? I now looked at it. I went to the admin block. I said, please, I'm trying to do a research and all that. How many women? When they told me the number of women, we had about 1,000 of us in law school, but the number of women was large. I said, good, I'll sell makeup. Makeup, I pens to 500 naira. Then I just put 200 naira, make it 700. But every day, and that's how I fear these women, because every day, that same room I entered, as I'm going back the next day, they will still buy makeup. The next day again, I'm going, they're buying makeup from me every day. But because one is 700 naira, one is 500 naira, they don't even know that they're spending so much money, one person, because they're spending it in bits. So that's how you have to also be very creative to think, what do I have, what do they need, and how do we exchange hands and all that. And for the family life, it's only balance. You have to get someone that you marry that will understand, a whole lot of people make mistakes. They don't know the people they're marrying. Yeah, sometimes it works out fine. You go into it and counseling, understanding the person before you work. So when my husband goes to quarrel, tell my sister, but she actually, she's at meetings are late. My sister will say, but this is how you met her. That time, you would have told her that you don't want it. So that if she will look at it carefully, you say, okay, let me dump politics and marry. But you said it was fine, it was okay. Now you're there. So you have to marry someone that understands you. Otherwise, you guys will have issues. Because when you say you want to sit on the exact table where the men are sitting down, where decisions are taking place, if they call the man at 2 a.m., the man is there. asked my sister some 2 weeks ago. I was in a very serious assignment. My daughter was sick. You don't understand. And it is always important for me not to let them in this meeting know that my daughter is sick. Because guess what? Sentiment. Oh no, maybe you have to go back. Maybe you have to. And I want to sit down there where they're taking that very serious decision. So I was managing it. So every 2 minutes I would go back and ask him, please. And I said, God, what do I do? I said, I know how to solve this problem. Take her to where because it was at all night. And you know how sickness is at night, really. You know how fever is, night fever. I just said, I know what to do. I called them and I said, take her to the hospital and admit her. The doctor knows better than me. What I would have been doing there is just to say, Mama, sorry, till morning. So I said, go and admit her. At least I know that the doctors and nurses are with her. Then it now calms my mind. Then my mom's own is to be telling her, sorry, I will call my sister. Just now I'm supposed to go somewhere this night. Oh, my sister, please, you sleep in the house with me. So it's really a whole lot the whole family has to understand. Because when the decisions are being made and when you're given a very serious appointment, all these women you see out there, they have families, they have children. So it's the same thing. They're juggling everything together. And for us women, we are gifted. We can juggle. The men cannot juggle this thing we're doing. They cannot. The reason why the man is seated in that meeting comfortably and having that meeting is because his wife is taking care of this. So imagine you're the woman there. Is it my husband that wants to understand the food? Sometimes I get very angry, but I say, that's how many. So I'll be asking him, so what food do you think Elliot eats? He eats now. But all his life he has been eating this particular food. He can't eat this, he can't eat this. And I've been saying it every day. And you're not even picking it. I just say, okay, but I just say, that's how many. God just gave us extra. That's why I know that we can stretch it. We can do 10 things. In fact, right now it's so bad for me that I can't even do one thing. Again, I must be doing 2 things at the same time. I can't. Asked my sister, we're just coming from somewhere. I said, no, I was shaking. She said, calm down, your battery is dead. I said, okay, but I have to play a game. You know? And so my mind has to be at 2 places at the same time. I'm sorry. I've over-juggled that I need to distract myself with something at every point in time. So I just needed to type and, play game, and I'll be juggling between things because it's now a habit. So you'll be able to do it. And I'll give you my number. I'm very interested in women that are, young women are going to politics. It's very important because you can just make that mistake and that really ends it. And again, like I've said, I've made mistakes, but God keeps helping me. I don't take it for granted. So I'll always want to keep in touch with you and see, so that when you're running for House of Assembly, Councillor, House of Reps, Senate, and Presidency, I'll be there to be your representative. But first things first, blow their mind when they come back from this thing. So the only thing they'll be saying, so while we were on strike, this woman was running around. By the time you move from the length and breadth of Abuja, you will get a group of people that will come to Unical. When they do something like this, it's your name that will be going. But don't forget you are the vice. So you put the president right there in front and step back. Don't take this. Don't take his shine, please. But you shine more than him. Even in not taking his shine, you are shining more than him. So you will blow their mind as they are coming to assembly. And we will be there.
In Anambra, you need good works because you're not a great shishi. Thank you very much for your time. I believe that there are no more questions. I see my auntie's face. There's no joy. Thank you so much. Please, a lot of applause once more. I believe we have learned because, like she said, we have to be consistent at what we do because you don't know who's watching. It's very important. Sometimes you don't need a recommendation. Somebody is just watching. You don't know. That's